One trick that often helps with self-esteem or insecurity issues or social anxiety is to really focus not inside yourself, but outside. Oftentimes with anxiety, there's an introspective, hyper introspective nature of anxiety in that we get really focused on ourselves, our body, our tone of voice, our posture, the future, the worry, the anxiety, and we're not focused in the present moment. We're not grounded to the present moment. And oftentimes one of the fastest ways to get outside of yourself. I struggled with social anxiety. And one of the things about social anxiety is that it's not necessarily cookie cutter in the way that it presents itself. I know for me, it wasn't hard to necessarily make friends growing up and things like that. But when it came to things like presentations, speeches, I would get incredibly self-critical for myself. There's something about social anxiety that's really interesting is that oftentimes people with social anxiety will fixate on one thing and basically overblow that issue. So what I like to think of it as is that think of an alarm system in your house that is constantly beeping. That alarm system needs to beep when there's actually danger, when there's actually a fire in the home, or it beeps whenever it needs the batteries to be changed. That's when it beeps. When it's beeping for no reason, when you've already changed the batteries or when there's no fire, it becomes really annoying and exhausting because sometimes the beeps get louder and louder and more frequent for literally no reason at all. That is our body's alarm system. Our alarm system can be effective when there's actually danger, when there's things that we need to approach and be mindful of and consider. But when it's beeping and alarming for no reason at all in situations that are calm and situations where we're just talking to our friends, but we get really anxious, or we're talking to our boss or a supervisor and we get really anxious, or we're in social settings in the movies and in restaurants and we get really anxious. Like, these are situations and places that we don't need to be anxious for, but we are anxious for apparently no reason at all. And that is just because the body's alarm system is completely hypersensitive to the things that are going on. Today, we're going to cut through the fluff and we're actually going to talk about how to build self-confidence and also how to deal with social anxiety. First of all, I think we have to understand that self-esteem is something that can be built over time. This can be something like going to the gym, working out, putting in the reps, putting in the sets, and getting stronger, bigger, faster, and recovering a lot healthier as it relates to fitness. One of the things that I often tell my patients as it relates to social anxiety is to think of it as this concept that you are working a muscle. The more that you put yourself out there, the more that you put yourself in situations that you could be critiqued at, the easier it's going to get. Our brains are neuroplastic. In other words, they have the ability to learn new information regardless of how long we've been stuck in the same old loop time and time and time again. And also, I think to remind ourselves that our brain is working in a way to protect itself, and it's kind of working overtime to overprotect ourselves from things that we don't need protection from. Anxiety comes from these negative thoughts, these negative beliefs in ourselves, these self-critical thinking, the rumination, the catastrophizing. We're worried about the future. We're worried about what people say about us or think about us. All of that worry contextualizes, it grows deeper, it gets bigger, and then it actually makes us feel insecure, not valuable. And so understanding the thoughts that play into our mind, looking for disconfirming evidence of those thoughts, either for or against those thoughts, questioning those thoughts, talking to ourselves as if, do we really need to be anxious right now? Do we need to talk to a friend to help us get outside of ourselves a little bit? Do we need to do hard things so that we can remind ourselves that we can do hard things and implant those memories into the back of our heads so that whenever we do future hard things, we know for a fact that we can do hard things? I think all of those are incredibly, incredibly important. When your brain is screaming at you, trying to get your attention for no apparent good reason, when there's no danger in sight, don't be afraid to go in, find the batteries, purchase the batteries, change the batteries, and rewire the system so that your brain only sets alarms for things that are actually going to put you in danger. If you want a playbook on the exact ways to kind of deal with social anxiety and to build self-esteem, please put it down in the comment section below. If you have not already, please like and share this video. Dr. Phil Sarpong, I'm a clinical psychologist, and what I do here on this channel is we delve into all things psychology, wellness, as well as graduate school for future clinicians. And with that, I hope to see you all in the next video.